Okay, at this point, I'd like to call the regular town board meeting of Monday, May 9th to order. I ask all who have not signed in, please do so. Please turn off all cell phones and other electronic devices. Please conduct any private conversations in the hallway or outside. Emergency exits can be found on your right and to your left. This meeting is also live streamed via YouTube, so with text commenting available. So if you do go to the podium, make sure you are speaking clearly to the podium, and it goes for us board members as well. So at this time, if you please join in a salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, again, good evening. A couple announcements before we get underway. The next town board meeting will be on Monday, the 23rd of May. Board members, the first meetings of the month in June, July, and August are intended to pay bills only. In the past, we have had morning meetings. Are you all right with continuing this? We can have it Zoom. We could utilize the supervisor's conference room and have in-person for those who want to attend, and Zoom as well for board members and the public. 8 a.m., 8:30, your pleasure?
8.
Okay. And reminder, the Memorial Day Parade is back on for the 30th of this month. Final details will be announced at our meeting on the 23rd. And reminder, all town facilities will be closed on Memorial Day, May 30th as well. Moving to approval of meeting minutes, the April 25th board meeting.
Second.
Thank you both. All those in favor?
Aye.
Payment of bills. At this time, I'd ask our clerk to please introduce manifest number 9.
Manifest number 9 for 2022 in the amount of $184,149.71 has been reviewed by the Victor Town Board with the following accounts charged: general townwide, general outside village, highway townwide, the lighting districts of Fishers, Brookwood Meadows, High Point, Cobblestone, Coyle Ridge, Rolling Meadows, Stone Lay, and Legacy at the Fairways, and trust and agency.
Very good, thank you. First item, first payment to Shallow Law for assessor legal charges, payment to Harris Beach for the April legal services. There are chargebacks equaling $12,618.83 in there. Total cost of the town, $8,202.29. Payment to Hometown Energy for unleaded fuel. Mark, is this a new company, or did they were new company? Okay, thank you. Next is payment to Integrated System, April hosting services. Payment to J.C. Smith for a new message board for the Highway Department. Payment to Jim Barnard Chevrolet for the new vehicle for the Planning and Building Department. Payment to LaBella Associates, $37,225. There are chargebacks. Total cost to the town minus the chargebacks, $20,690. And payment to RG&E for March and April electric. Total of the above mentioned expenditures is $140,529.75. Total town expenditures minus the previous mentioned expenditures equals $43,619.96. Board members, any questions on this abstract? If not, entertain a motion to approve the payments thereof.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Town Clerk, for introducing them. This time, privilege of the floor, Mr. Scott Martin. And Scott, just so you know, everything that was sent on to maybe the Planning and Building Department, which would be the conservation easement, instrument location map, your letter to the Zoning Board of Appeals, what else we have here? Ontario County Clerk's page as well. So everything that I think from a informational standpoint should be in the hands of the board members. So, sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening. I am Scott Martin, and I would like to thank you for your time to present the conservation adjustment. So my wife and I are proposing to just minimally reduce the width of the existing easement, which is located on our property, which is 6734 Falcons Point, by approximately 10 feet, just to accommodate a cohesive pool, hardscape, landscape, and pool house design that aligns with the aesthetic and the character of our neighborhood, while still allowing ample and unblocked access to the wetland buffer zone, the hiking trail at the rear of our property. We've taken careful consideration to the overall integrity of the easement, and believe our proposed plans for everything accentuates our design of the neighborhood and the property area, while still taking into consideration the green space, which was a major selling point for us because of the privacy that it provides for us. So, as proposed, the pool house and paver patio, the pool house would be on concrete, the patio would be on sand, would only occupy a very small area of this existing conservation area, less than 10 feet. We have no intention of removing any trees, any existing green space within the conservation area. The structures and patio would only encroach on the grass and easement, which I mow and maintain as the property owner. And this requested variance is minimal when measured in overall property as well as the conservation easement. As I stated earlier, no access would be blocked to the wetland buffer zone behind the property, nor would the hiking trail easement. The basis of this application is just to narrow it just by 10 feet for aesthetic and working in sight lines on our property to just have it be a cohesive element. We're working with long-standing, highly respected designers and contractors, which is Josh Landscaping, a design pool and spa, which both of whom have completed projects in the neighborhood in recent years. They're always cognizant of how to move from the start to finish of the project while minimally disturbing the current grades, environment. And this project has trusted experience and knowledge behind it to guarantee our property and the neighborhood's ecosystem is preserved. Other options to complete a comprehensive plan for the pool and hardscape designed to fit outside of the town's current conservation easement were limited due to the septic system on one side of our house, as well as a very mature tree line that runs diagonally through the property, which we wish to keep intact. Like I said earlier, I don't want to touch it. We want the green space. Just want to turn something just slightly into what exists currently. So moreover, we do believe that the proposed plan will benefit the aesthetic of our property and the surrounding neighborhood while maintaining the overall integrity and function of this conservation easement. Thank you.
Okay.
And I do have more detailed plans from our developers if you wish to see them.
Can I just ask a question before the town board gets into the substantive? You've addressed this to the Town of Victor Zoning Board of Appeals. Is there a setback variance that is associated with your request?
Sir, no, I went there not knowing where to start. And the girl that I spoke with gave me all the applications and said this is what it was. And when I presented our, I don't know if you have this put together that I can give everyone. She emailed me a couple hours later and said, no, you need to go to the town board.
Yeah, because unless what you're requesting is resulting in a need for an area variance because you're doing something within a setback area, it should be addressed to the town board, not to the ZBA.
Okay.
And then you haven't gone to the conservation board?
No.
Okay.
And then,
I have a,
go ahead.
if you would like all to have a copy, I can.
Yeah, why don't you do that, Scott, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And obviously, this is not to scale, I just
Thank
did this on a home computer off of the files that I have, and so that red area is kind of the pushback that I'm asking for, and we're not intending to use the entire area, it's just to give space for the pool house to turn, and in all honesty, this may only take up 100 square feet. And Josh Landscaping's designs are in there, and
So Scott, I looked this over, I took a ride over there today, this afternoon actually, and kind of looked around a little bit to get my bearings on, what you're talking about. And I think conservation easements in and of themselves are problematic sometimes for the board because of instances like this where someone will come back and they'll want to get an easement, or a lot of times the developer will push all this land back, and if somebody buys a house and they think they have all this space to develop and do what they want, and then they realize, oh, there's an easement that goes halfway across my property that I'm not supposed to go into. So I don't personally have an issue with this 10 feet because I think the lot, I see exactly what you're trying to do. I think there's still 50% green space on that property without any doubt or more. So the intent of the code, I think, is solid, but I think you want to be careful. You've already admitted that you mow some of the area that's in the conservation easement, which is probably, you shouldn't be mowing it, on some of it, and I think when, probably before we act on this, we'll probably want to get some input from the Conservation Board, because we'd like their input if they haven't chimed in on this yet, and I don't think they have.
They haven't, they actually meet on the 17th, and I think that was a direction, Scott, you were given.
Originally, yes.
You come before this board,
Yep.
get some input, but to your point,
Yep.
well said.
But I think that, we've had folks come before us, and, we've said, no, the markers are there, they're there for a reason, the wetlands, and recently, there's a gentleman over on County Road 9, or Gillis actually, wanted to get a little closer to Collier Crossing, coming back towards that creek, that new development over there. And the two posts are there, and he mows right up to those posts, and, he adheres to what the board said about the easement. So I think when you talk to the Conservation Board, I think they will hammer home the fact that they want to make sure that that easement is being, I guess, honored, as you put in your pool and all your beautiful landscape your hardscape that you're going to put in there. But I don't personally have a problem with that 10 feet, but it does open up, the Pandora's box time and time again, because people do come to us and say, hey, we want to do this, or we want to do that, and, that's part of why we look at it on a case-by-case basis. But-
And if I could add, we only moved in there in December of 2020, and we saw this on the surveys that we got and everything. However, the property had already been maintained to the point that I continue to maintain it. Blue spruces were planted right along that trail line from the previous owner. I don't know exactly when they were planted. but-
No, and we've been dealing with that for the last few years, actually. We've actually had to go in and at our own expense after developers left, and we've had to go in and re-identify where the conservation easement is, and some folks were not terribly happy with that, but we said, this is part of the easement, you can't be going up there clearing the trees. Well, it looks better if we clear it. Well, yeah, it does, but that's not the intent of the easement either, so.
Sure.
But just to be aware, and I know you are, so.
Yeah, Scott, I agree with Dave, and in fact, back when these 50% green space initiatives were put in place a long time ago, and it was farmland. So a developer comes in and he takes the whole parcel and he maps off 50% wherever it may be and wherever it conforms. All lots are different. Some have more, some have less, and so it affects people in different ways. And we've had to address this a number of times. And I don't, Dave's right. Technically, we're supposed to look at this on a case-by-case basis. And I too took a drive up there, and there's, and just yours and now everybody around you, I'm sure there's more than the equivalent of 50% for the whole farm. It's just the two things that the Conservation Board's going to look at is, because we run it so many times, is you're mowing past what conceivably is supposed to be in place with a conservation easement. So that's the two things we have to do. So I personally I don't have a real problem with it because of the space that's available, and it wouldn't, but it's going to have to go through them first, I believe, before we can even make a recommendation. But, I don't personally have it's conceptually well within the limits of what could be. It just does open up setting a precedence, and some people don't understand that it is case by case, and so it's going to have to be looked at from a lot of different directions as well.
Okay.
So before I don't know if Councilman Kuzma or
I agree with-
Kohovic, anything?
I agree with both the comments.
Yeah, same.
First of all, I think, if your time, money, whatever, this is well spent. I think it really defines the 10-foot. I have a question, actually, it's more probably suited for our attorney. I think in the past, we have probably done some swapping of areas, but I'm not so sure if we've ever reduced an area. This was part of green space as well. I mean, it's not much, it's 10 feet. So can we go ahead and reduce green space that's overall in a development? And then the final point is, we are in the process of currently concluding some litigation regarding a conservation easement. If this town board rules in a favorable response to the resident here, again, I know Councilman Guiney made a good point, every application, every situation should be on its own merit, but again, our role is also minimizing risk to the town, so that's why I bring up that if we were to rule in favor of this resident, is that going to come back and rear its head? So I'm giving you a lot to think about here.
Jack's the master of this. To answer your first question, I think we would definitely want to confirm what the green space requirements were for this subdivision and how much percentage of the land was to be set aside open space, and whether this 10 feet of the area that he'd like to reduce the easement by would adversely impact that. So that's something we should definitely confirm. I can't recall a request to amend an easement to reduce area within a conservation easement. I know people in the past have asked for it. I can't recall that it's ever been given or granted, but it's certainly something the town board members can do if they decide they want to. It would require that there be a new survey prepared, a meets and bounds description, and an amended easement prepared and signed, and typically the town requires that the property owner that's seeking the change, cover those costs. And then with respect to the question about the precedent that this could create and how It could adversely impact existing litigation. It is true that everything is case by case. The circumstances can be different. I would fully expect that if the litigant in that case became aware of this matter, that they would try to present it as an instance in where the town board had given approval where they hadn't in the other instance. So it could create a risk in that effect, but I think it really is a case-by-case circumstance. But I'm not going to say that no such risk doesn't exist. So it's something that also the town board should really, will have to consider as well. But I think when we typically get, the town board typically gets these types of requests, the input from the conservation board is really imperative, because they're the ones that make the recommendations, they're the ones that ask the town board to approve the type of easements that are, conservation easements that are being established. So I think while you go before the conservation board and get their input, or they present to them so that they can provide this board their input, we can look into these other matters with respect to the risk it might cause with, in terms of the existing litigation.
And if I may ask, I just figured that 10-foot was just the cleanest line to draw. It just seemed like the cleanest line to draw, I mean, as an artist, but we're not asking for all of that space. It's, like I said, maybe 100 square feet that we might be
You know,
asking.
looking at your map here, it does appear that you are looking for far less than
Yes.
10 feet area.
I just need to go 10 feet west, that's it.
So you may want to consider reducing the size of the request.
Okay.
It looks like you're putting in a fairly impressive pool area.
Yeah.
And pool
Well,
house, so,
And it's, I believe the pool house is slated right now at 12 by 16. And I say pool house, it's a glorified shed.
so that appears, at least on this map, the only area that's encroaching into the easement, but
We have, like I said earlier, looking at the options and aesthetically and with the green space and to work with our house and to make the neighborhood cohesive, turning it worked best aesthetically. There is the option to not, however, that cuts into a tree line and a grade that our Josh Landscaping kind of brought up of, it starts to slope away. And then it becomes, now we need to build a little bit more solid footing, and things become a little bit more of an issue, but.
But, again, taking that all into consideration, to the extent that you could reduce the ask,
Okay.
I think that would be helpful.
Fair enough.
And again, potentially minimize the risk that the supervisors raise with respect to the existing litigation and what this decision, any decision this town board made approving it, have on that litigation. Plus, I think the conservation board would appreciate the effort
Yes.
to reduce the ask.
So if I go out with it, as best I can off of the maps that I have and try and figure out the square footage, that's an acceptable, or do I need someone to come and actually survey it?
Scott, can I ask you, are the markers still there? A lot of times they're gone. Have they been?
Oh, no, they're not there. No. There haven't been
Yeah,
don't believe.
And
it.
that's,
I live in this
that's the big
community. I
thing.
mean-
We, every time we go into one, they're gone.
Yeah.
Probably for a reason.
or the developers just don't put them in the first place.
I think
which
our
has happened in my subdivision.
The survey map that I believe is in the packet, the instrument map, I believe, they did find rebar.
Yeah,
That
I
was
saw
just
that.
what was provided to us by the town. But there are no posts, there are,
I mean, it's an expense that you probably don't want to do unless you got closer to resolution. It'd be nice to be able to physically see where it is, and people look for that. We've run into that before too, and I don't know how to do it without spending something.
absolutely.
And I do, my opinion from the Conservation Board is, like what Supervisor Marin said, a lot of times it is a swap when they do. The Conservation Board is always looking, they don't want to just give up green space. So a lot of times they'll look for something for a swap. But I like Frank Pavia's recommendation of maybe going back and asking for a little less space. That certainly will bode well for you, but, I mean, they're reasonable people, and they'll want to come out, and take a look at it and all that, and,
Welcome it.
so I think that, you know, you need to get their input, and like Mike said, you're probably going to have to firm up where those
Even
stakes
if any of
are.
the neighbors, sometimes the neighbors, there might be something down the line that showed it, that you can draw a line to or something, but if they're all gone throughout the whole thing, then you get, because the first thing they're gonna ask you is, that you're mowing beyond what's actually there, and you're gonna have to address that when you come to it, and are the other neighbors' properties doing the same thing as anybody else? And so it's happened before. So I would, if there's a way to do it, and I don't know what it would be to actually delineate the existing one now physically, so when they do come out, they can see what it is and what you need. It helps, shortens the process a little bit. But you don't want to go spend money and then just get, hit it. So,
No, fair enough. I mean, I want to work with everyone, and like I stated earlier, we have no intention of taking away green space. It's just a little shift.
yeah.
A little shift.
And to that remark, if you can narrow down what you're asking and then say, you know what, but on the back side of the lot, I'll give you that back. So if let's say it comes out to be 50 square feet, I don't know, but I'll take 50 out of this, but you can add 50 onto the edge of the easement going this way. Or some kind of a combination, just keep that in the back of your mind.
Sure.
Because if you're just swapping, everything's even.
Sure.
And that makes it easier for everybody to say, hey, he's just making a minor adjustment. The easement is basically the same.
Sure.
It's a straight swap. That usually goes over a lot better, just FYI.
Yeah, Jack just handed me an email that Kim Casella sent, I guess. There is some room with respect to the open space that was set aside in the subdivision. There's a little buffer there, meaning there's some give there.
There's more than 50%.
There's more than 50%,
Okay,
slightly
great.
above the 50% requirement. So
That's
there's a-
helpful.
That's helpful.
It's helpful because you're not
But-
staying within the.
Having served on the Conservation Board, the comments that, the councilmen have said right now are spot on. The board was really going to appreciate an effort to reduce the ask.
Okay.
And they're also going to want to know that the purpose of the easement is still being served
Yes.
and not being substantially interfered with.
I have zero intention of that.
No, I'm not saying you are, but that's
Yes.
the kind
I
of thing you
understand.
want to discuss with them.
I appreciate the input. Thank you.
Scott, are you on the agenda next week for the conservation?
I am
Board?
not, no. This was my only agenda.
Could you see what you could do, Keith, and get Scott on there and let Amber or Lisa get back to Scott?
And I'm sorry, what day of the week is that?
Lisa Boughton?
No. Which day of the week is the meeting?
On Tuesday,
17th?
next
Tuesday.
17th,
17th. You in town, out of town?
Yes, no, I'm in town.
and they meet upstairs.
Now I'm thinking about where my kids are on that night.
So I think bringing this.
It's very helpful. Do you need these?
No, I have plenty more.
You sure?
I have plenty more.
Well, it was very helpful, and like I said, well spent, your time and resources as well, so.
Okay.
I'm sure that possibly this isn't what you expected, but, this is, at this point, I think this is, I think the board, thank them for their guidance here.
No, I
and providing-
absolutely, and every little bit of input, thank you. I didn't know where to start, and here I am, so.
Jack, just a point of reference, the meeting normally is Zoom.
Yeah, it's a Zoom.
They're still on
meeting.
Zoom, yeah.
They're still on Zoom.
So they won't be upstairs. So they'll have to send you a link
Okay.
to come into the Zoom meeting. It's
Okay.
not a problem, we do it all the time. But just so you know, you're not gonna have to appear in person. If you have this available electronically,
Yeah, in a PDF, yes.
so we could send it to them,
Yes.
then that'd be great too.
Thank you, Councilman Kohovic.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
One quick question, Mark, if there is rebar there and there is a drainage easement, is that something that we can, if we could pinpoint that rebar as a point of reference on the front and go so many feet either way of it, it might, if that's on one of the maps for the drainage easement, is it something we would be able to find?
I haven't looked at this at all, Mike, so I don't know. I'm not aware of the drainage easement that's in the property, so.
All right, well, I'll go over it with you. We'll look at, there's the drainage easement, or the rebar where it says rebar found is within the boundary, and I don't know, we'll take a look at it. But the rebar should or could be there for a reason not linked to his property, and maybe that might be a point of reference that might make it easier, so.
Yeah, we can definitely look and see if we can find anything.
Okay.
Thank you. Scott, again, thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Okay, public comments and concerns. Opportunity for members of the public to address the town board.
It's not just about this topic.
No,
Right here at the podium.
Okay.
You're up.
So, good evening. Lisa Roberts, I live on Wellington Drive, and I wanted to come to publicly thank a few people that work for the town, and also some people volunteering, because I need some good news. So, Victor Hiking Trails had a nice little trash pickup on Earth Day, and I wanted to thank Parks and Rec. They came out and they hauled all the trash bags away. So that's Brian Emelson and Adam Wrights. I also wanted to mention May is Bike Month. I have my little bike shirt on. I do an awful lot of biking. And I wanted to make sure the town board was aware, and I also wanted to call out a few people that are organizing the Family Bike Fest out at Parks and Rec, and it is this Saturday. So the people I want to especially thank is Mark Robbins. He's on the Parks and Rec Citizens Advisor Committee. He's actually a past president for the Rochester Bike Club. Cindy Riley, who's president of the PTSA, and Beth Lombard, who is a liaison kind of between the PTSA, Victor Hiking Trails, and some other people. So hashtag teamwork works, so partnerships work. So this is the first time this event has happened, and I just want to express my thank you to these people, because I think we have a unique community here. We have the Auburn Trail, we have the Lehigh Trail. Biking is going to become even more popular this summer because gas prices keep going up. We have these two lifelines through our community. Parks and Rec is going to finish the Auburn Trail over by Break a Day Road, and they're going to put in a trail along Paparone Park, so it will make it more possible for families to bike safely, for everyone to bike safely. But this event is specifically toward for families. Make sure kids and the family's bikes are safe, make sure kids know how to handle their bikes. So if you have grandkids, anyone that wants to come is welcome. It's a family event. We're going for ice cream, kind of fun thing. And also, first of its kind event that I've ever been to, the Ontario County Department of Health is donating bicycle helmets, which is a very big thank you to them as well. So I think Drew is going to come on out, so I invite all of you. Anything anybody wants to ask me? No?
No, great job. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
I'll be there.
Susie, do you have anyone? Nope, okay. Okay. Moving to reports of town officials in your packet, you have the report from our town engineers, Lobello Associates, Director of Finance, provided a quarterly overview. He did identify that, the fuel costs impacted snow removal and will continue to impact this town as we move forward. And mentioned the town historian. I don't think we had a report from her, unless I missed it.
Yeah, it was in the packet.
Was it? Yeah, then it means I stapled it on the back of something else. Probably. In addition, the Parks and Rec, as you saw in their record number participants for the Easter egg hunt, and I know another municipality had one the same day, so kudos to Brian and his team. He is struggling with personnel, as indicated on the first two bullet points, and I know there's sandwich boards out in front of this building as well, trying to attract individuals interested in working for the Parks and Rec Department. I do have a few items I want to mention. ironic that we talked about illegal dumping at our last board meeting, but lo and behold, the Highway Department found some, in the back area, some brush that was dropped back there, but this individual also left some personal items in there that identified himself with his trash, so you can't make this stuff up sometimes. So this individual has received a Dear Mark Ears letter. I don't know if you've heard back from this individual?
Yeah, Casey talked to him. I guess he supposedly said he didn't know the debris, the trash was in there with the brush. So when he got rid of the brush, it was at the bottom or whatever, but he was not aware of the extra garbage that was left.
Surprised he didn't blame that we didn't have enough hours for him or something. It's usually something like that, but, oh well. Board members reminder, this Thursday, the 12th, Business Awards Luncheon. Everyone should have had an opportunity to review the Veterans Conference Room and Economic Development. I had sent material over to everyone to review. On the April 30th, myself and Mayor Haddon participated in the Arbor Day event and with conjunction with the Village Tree Board. And again, Kitty Van Bortle, very generous, and she donated 24 trees, which have been planted along between the town barn and up to the village line. So very thankful for Kitty, her continued generosity. And at the last meeting, I mentioned an email from our town assessor about the assessment process. I do appreciate all of your feedback. The link has been added to the town's website under the landing page for the assessor's office. Thank you, Susie. In addition, you recently, you might have been at your place setting as well as in your box, monthly traffic report, report from the Victor Fire Department, and the Irondequoit Fire District formation. Councilman Cusimano, any idea how long this process has been underway?
I don't specifically. I know, in knowing some of the folks involved up there, I believe it's been at least a year or so, but I think the conversations informally have been quite a bit longer than that. But, and I specifically can't speak to some of the hiccups that went along the past year or so, but there were a few, and I think back especially closer to a year back, there was some questions of, is this going to work or not? But I know over the last several months, it has been very favorable. It has been, from everything I've heard from the outside, two fire districts working very well together, both at the executive board level and at the ground level, and it has come to fruition with the Irondequoit Fire District.
So our finance director did share with me earlier today that at one point early in his career, he lived in that area. And it was the version then of the Hatfields and McCoys. So I guess people can change over time. One final item I do want to mention, in working on behalf of Labella Associates, Tri-State is the traffic counter vendor that Labella uses, so they will be collecting an intersection counts along Route 96 at Main Street, School Street, and Maple, has supplemental data for the study for the Victor connectivity study. So what they will be doing will be setting up video cameras on street poles in those intersections. So in case anyone's saying, hey, what's going on, this is what's taking place. So that's all I have. Board members, you have any comments or questions?
I have one, Supervisor. I just wanted to make note that on April 28th, Keith Maynard took me on a little stormwater field trip, and I spent the afternoon with him doing outfall inspections, and I think we probably saw 6 or 7 locations around the town, varying levels of facilities that are both town-owned on private land in really good shape, and some of the ones that have been notorious for the problematic areas and will be future points for improvement. So I just wanted to say thank you to Keith, and certainly we have somebody in that position that is very knowledgeable. Your customer service, the way you interact, and we got to interact with some people out on the properties, and certainly I'm very grateful that we have you in that position, Keith. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you also for your time and interest coming with me.
I was wondering why Keith put in for time and a half that afternoon.
Thank you, Drew.
Yep.
Board members who have no other comments, I know our town clerk would like to.
Just real quick before we get going, I did have several meetings over the past couple weeks about the Memorial Park out front. John Turner from the village is planning on starting some demolition in June. The Victor Garden Club knows that we're going through this project, so that they're not going to plant anything on front because of the construction. They'll do a little more work on the sides because the flowers and plants have already been bought, but they're aware of it. Also had a conversation with Jeff Rogers. He is aware of the plan. I'm going to send him some more information from an electrical standpoint. And his comment to me was, well, yeah, probably the whole thing needs to be redone because it's underwater. I'm like, okay. So that may be where a lot of our money for that's been assigned to this project may go. So anyway, just so everybody knows where we stand with that. So we're still doing a little bit of planning, but right now it's all systems are go for June.
So with that detailed update, now you know why you were unanimously voted in this position.
Voluntold, I know. Thank you.
Yeah, so we all thank you. Okay, moving to the, I'm sorry, Ms. Clark.
That's okay. I just wanted to thank the town board and supervisor for allowing me to go to the annual town clerks conference in Albany. It was very informative, very energizing. There was a lot of clerks there this time, and a lot of young clerks, which was great to see. So there's a lot of new blood coming up, and it was very, very good. A lot of good information. Also, I wanted to say that Kim Reese is working out very well in the clerk's office. Renee's last day of work will be May 27th. She's retiring in June, but her last day in our office will be May 27th. And we're going to have a farewell reception in the town clerk's office. And it's going to be all day long, so people can stop in, say.
On the 27th?
26th, the day
26th,
before,
Thursday,
we're going to
day
do
before.
that,
Okay.
yes. And I'll be sending flyers out so that, to all the different people. So that's it, thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
How many
Okay,
years has Renee worked?
20.
okay, moving to resolution number 1. This is a correction of a manifest, and this has to do with a $93.70.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Resolution number 2 is accepting the 2021 Town of Victor financial audit.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And number 3, accepting the 2021 Victor Town Court audit.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 4 is the creation of a highway capital reserve fund for the purpose of building and land purchases. Again, this establishment, this will be monies earmarked for financing the cost of construction of purchase of buildings and land for the highway department.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 5, acceptance of retirement, Alan Benedict.
So if we don't accept his retirement, does that mean he has to come back, or how does that work? Sorry, Al.
I know, well,
I know you were under the weather, Jack, when they had their little get-together, but it was a tribute to Al, I think, and his years of service and his, the friendships and professional relationships he's had. There was a very nice turnout.
Yeah.
And, people stopped by, and he was, I think he was very pleased with how that went and what Kim and the codes folks organized. And it was, what I said is, there's a lot of knowledge walking out that door with what Al has provided, the Conservation Board, the Planning Board, and the Town Board for the last umpteen years, so.
No, and I appreciate you speaking on behalf of the board, representing us, and I know Kim, I asked her said, how'd you do? She said I was able to hold it together.
Barely.
So moved.
No.
Second.
Okay, and Al did have and it's only Al, he sent a little note to Town Hall, thanking everyone. He said, let's see, he did say, because only Al with his dry sense of humor, can he keep the 5-cent deposit? So I believe he received a lot of cans of beer or bottles and whatnot, so. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Number 6 is accepting the resignation of Robert Torno. Robert joined us from the town of East Bloomfield, and he has decided he's going back to the town of East Bloomfield.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the appointment of Dylan Reed, part-time 6-month seasonal trails/parks laborer.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And then excited to share that the reappointment of Lisa Simmons, part-time typist.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 9, extending the contract with WB Mason, centralized purchasing of cleaning supplies and paper products.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 10, this is supporting the submission of a local government efficiency grant. This is with Ontario County, actually support of Ontario County, but this would certainly, for many, transition to electronic contracts and insurance, and we hope it really expedite what we have, and I'm certainly hoping that other municipalities throughout this county and the state eventually embrace this concept, so.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Quick question on that, though.
Yes, sir.
In the PowerPoint presentation, it says no more wet signatures and notaries. Is that right? Will it be documents that legally required a notary in the past that now will no longer require one?
That may be what they're introducing. That's my understanding, yeah.
I just wondered what that meant, because
Thank you. Number 11, this is the issuance of negative declarations pursuant to seeker and proceed with the further plans and costs for the improvement for the Victor Consolidated Sewer.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Resolution number 12, donation of the surplus folding machine, which has been stored in the basement for a while. And this would be donated to Serenity House.
so moved.
Second.
I want to thank the clerk for initiating this as well. All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 13, letter of credit for Willis Hill Estate Phase 2, release number 2.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And resolution number 14, letter of credit, the Fairways Phase 3, release number 1.
So
Question?
moved.
Second.
Okay, offered by Councilman Kohova, second by Councilman Cusimano. All those in favor?
Aye.
And again, ask the members of the public if there's any public comment. Susie, do you have anyone on? Okay. This time I'm going to ask for a motion for executive session. This would be, and the best I can evaluate it, under Rule 3, this would be regarding real property where publicity might affect the value. We'll meet upstairs with the town board members, town finance director Rich O'Donnell, and attorney Sheila Shalafo.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I anticipate no action. There'll be nothing but an adjournment. All those in favor?
Aye.